Jay right in your face.
Welcome back to the Faedaway podcast, episode number 7. I'm your host, Faedaway, and I got my boy Zaid here with me. Zaid, how you doing, bro?
We're good, man. Exciting week this week.
We're jumpy in the stew today. We're jumpy.
Yeah. We're
High energy today.
High energy, bouncing off the walls before we started recording. Nobody saw that, but a really good week, man. We're excited for a lot of good things coming soon, hopefully. You know, a
lot of great things coming, man. You know, like when we first started, we were like, we have a passion for this, and at the end of the day, for both of us, just ball is life, man. That's what it is.
That's what it comes down to.
Man. You grow up saying that ball is life, and ball is life. So that's what it is. So let's talk about, man, what a crazy week it's been around the league. A lot of things, especially for the Raptors. I mean, kind of a crappy week. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was a 1-3 week, and we'll unpack because there's still a lot of positives that we took away from that. A lot of things that we can improve on. So let's tackle it, man. Last Monday they took on the Pacers.
Yeah.
So they beat the Pacers
on Sunday, the day before,
and then they came back and they lost to the Pacers, 129-114. And I believe that was the last game. That was the last game Pascal was out. Yeah. It was also the last game Norm and OG played in, because they were out the last couple of games. So key personnel was missing. They still scored 114 points, but the main thing I took away from them, man, was the defense. Letting up 129 points to the Pacers on the second night of a back-to-back was a little bit concerning. Yeah. But I'll just let you take it. I know what points you had to take from that game specifically.
It comes down to defense. The reason why they won the first game and they won that first game in close fashion was because of the defense and defensive stops at the beginning of the game, at the end of the game especially. In the game that they won, Freddie had that big defensive stop at the end. So, like you said, it's very hard to win without defense, and I think we both agree on that point. And
do we?
We agree on that point. We do agree on that point, definitely. Doesn't mean that you can't make changes to your defense to improve your defense, which is what the Raptors really need. It just didn't look like they were all there. Like I said before about Nick Nurse and his substitutions and his timeouts and his rest, the guys looked a bit tired, and I think heavy legs really contributes to not being able to play defense properly.
Right, yeah.
Another thing that has been going on during this last 4-game stretch, even a bit before, and we really saw it, I think, this week, is just the disappearance of Chris Boucher. And that one is a bit tricky because he's not shooting, relatively well to how he was shooting. We were saying, God bless you, Chris. He was shooting at a high clip. He was defending at he was playing very good defense, rim protecting. He was blocking 3-point shots at a rate that we've never really seen before either. So it's been really tricky this week in general, just because of guys in and out of the lineup. OG, Norm, in and out. Pascal's in. He gets injured last week. Is he still injured? Is he playing with an injury?
And then obviously, depends on the dream that Nick Nurse had the night before. Who's going to start? Who's going to play today?
Is he
going to play? Not going to play today?
Is he going to play Matt? Is he going to play Yuta? Is he going to play Bembry? Is he going to play Baines? Stanley. How is it going to work? Stanley. So I think a lot of it defensively, all the reasons why the Raptors had a pretty poor week this week, they went 1-3 this week, it's straight up because of the defense and the poor defense. And if you remember last week, I had said I think it's a reasonable expectation for them to move up to 6th, and they dropped a bit. They dropped a bit, and they didn't get to do it. I think they're placed at 9th, 10th at the moment, and they're still only a game and a half or something small behind from the 8th seed. But this 4-game span against the Pacers, Bucks, Kings, and Magic, I think they should have went 3-1. At the very least, they should have went 3-1.
2-2. Pacers on the second night of a back-to-back, and then Milwaukee without OG and Norman Powell.
I'm not going to.
Norman played that game, but OG didn't play that game.
I'm not going to give him the pass on the Pacers on the second Pacers game because Pacers are also on the back-to-back.
Yeah, but they're a good team.
Why can't the Raptors be a good team?
Well, that's the whole discussion, right?
But that's what I'm saying. If you're going to hold the Pacers up to a standard of being a good team, we are holding the Raptors up to a certain standard of being a good team. So if you take care of business on one day, you're both playing back-to-backs. You're both, playing in the same cities, both same travel, both same routines. You can't leave the hotel, whatever it may be. What's the excuse here?
No, right? Pascal, I guess.
No Pascal, I guess.
That's a decent excuse, but I mean, Pascal is so up and down as it is.
So this week, just first and foremost, just really, really disappointed in the defense, and then what goes along, which is kind of the umbrella of the defense, is just the defensive rebounding. in the games that the Raptors lost, very, very poor. And it's without even the numbers, you can look at it and you can see that these teams are dominating on the board. So for me, biggest thing, defense, and then just once again, fatigue really, really playing a factor in the Raptors in late games. And during the whole game, you find the Raptors constantly battling from behind, and they can never get over the hump because of that fatigue. So I don't know what else you saw from that week that really stood out to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing I did point out is I was looking at the percentages. So in the losses, they allowed opposing teams to score. So Indiana was 41% from three as a team. Ooh. Milwaukee was 40% from three.
Yep.
And Sacramento was 44%.
They got
from
shooters.
Three.
They can shoot.
3 straight opponents to shoot 40+ as a team is a bit tough. It's hard to win games when they're not missing from three. And it seems to be a trend, too. Like, Sacramento shot 55% from the field on the game.
Yeah.
Indiana shot 51% from the field on the game. That's unusually high. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Milwaukee shot 40 from the field, but 40 from three.
Okay, yeah. So they made up for it.
That kind of stuff matters. But then you look at the win against Orlando. They held them to 102 points, right?
Yeah.
40% from the field, 36 from three. So you're looking at, okay, well, if we defend the three, if we can step out on that three, then that's going to help us immensely. And that comes down to who you're playing because, in my opinion, one of our better perimeter defenders is Utah Watanabe. And he's being used as a utility guy depending on the matchup. This podcast has been saying for weeks, Utah deserves a rotational position.
Yeah.
Every single time he's been on the court, it's been positive minutes.
Yeah.
He's excellent at rebounding. He's excellent at shooting the corner three. His form is beautiful.
Oh, smooth, bro.
His form is
left hand.
Yo, he had it.
Smooth.
Did you see his end of shot clock move in the one game?
Yeah.
I can't remember. I think it was not the last game, the one before,
I think,
where he was playing the majority of the fourth, and he crosses over and he drives in. And he just finger rolls it above the defender right at the end of the clock.
Beautiful.
My favorite thing is he's so cute with his little fist bump. Yeah.
You can do no wrong, bro.
I just love his energy, man. And everyone believes that he deserves a rotational spot.
Yeah.
He's given us great minutes. Another guy I want to talk about that's emerged in the last week, DeAndre Bembry.
Yes. Yeah.
DeAndre Bembry is looking a little bit more comfortable. His three is going down a little bit. I don't know his percentages. We can pull that up. But what I saw was a lot more action on defense.
Yep.
He's very active. He was reading the screens very well.
Yep.
He was switching. Amazing. His coverage was great. I thought he was giving great minutes in the fourth quarter, but they raloed and they just lost. It was against Sacramento where they made that comeback.
Controversial loss there.
Very, yeah. And
we may talk about
that one too with Kalo. But just an interesting dynamic. And another thing I want to point out too is Freddie Steady. Steady Freddie.
Hey.
Not so steady Freddie offensively. So over the 4 games, he had one game where he had 25.
Yep.
Then he had 10. Then he had 29. Then he had 9. It's like we need that, maybe not 29, maybe not 25, but that 20 to 24 every game. Like at that point, I think he should be able to do it. He's shown that he can do it.
Yeah, he can do it. Absolutely. That's why there's the expectation for him to do it. And,
yeah, absolutely.
On your point on Bembry, great minutes, great defender, and that's how you're going to earn minutes on this team is if you defend. Stanley Johnson's been doing that. He's earned great minutes on this team. Yuta has been playing more than in the past. That's how he's earned his minutes. As in terms of shooting, it's funny. He doesn't shoot much, so he's shooting 60% from the field, 67% from the field in the last game. So he doesn't shoot much, but when he shoots, it matters.
He had his career high this week, 12 points in that game against Sac. Oh, sorry, my fault.
Bembry's been shooting that, but yes, exactly. Yuta has had 12 points in the game against the Kings, I believe it was. So he had great minutes. The thing I want to say about Freddie, and this is not only for Freddie, it's for the core 3 or 4 guys of this team, and it's for Nick Nurse. I think number 1 it's for Nick Nurse, and then number 2 it's for these guys on the core guys on the team. Is that there's got to be a way where everybody is clicking at all times, and I've said that in previous weeks, and it's not a team if your one star is dropping 25 to 30 and your next star is dropping 15 to 16, 17 points. The whole point of a team is that they're all working together. I understand OG's out of the lineup, Norm's out of the lineup, Kyle Lowry's in and out. Freddie knows his role. Freddie pretty much if not this year, next year the keys are going to be handed to him at the starting point guard role. You're leading the offense. You're leading this team. You come out and you lead this team on the floor. What it just can't seem to happen is that the stars can't play cohesively, and that's a concern because you've got hundreds of millions of dollars tied up in these three guys plus a Norm who you really value. So in terms of Freddie, I think he'll pick it up. I think he hasn't been that steady this week, but in terms of the whole season, he's been one of the more steady guys on the team. One thing I wanted to point out, I want to give flowers to this, but I also wanted to caution it. And that was Pascal and how he's been playing this week and how he's been attacking the paint. I think it's great that he's been attacking the paint. I think the way he's been driving, the way he's been posting up, the way he's been getting to the paint has been phenomenal. He's doing it with intent. He wants to get there. He wants to go down low. He wants to finish strong. My concern is he hasn't scored outside of the paint in the last 2 or 3 games. If he had scored, maybe it was 1 bucket or 2 buckets. It's not many. And now I'm getting into this kind of, reminiscing a little bit. Like, is he going to become like a DeMar DeRozan who doesn't even think about shooting the three? Because he can develop a mid-range jumper, which, okay, you know what? Start inside and start developing out. I'm just concerned he won't do it. So my concern is you love Pascal being in the paint. You love him being aggressive. This is our $150, $140 million max guy, whatever the amount is. Do you want a guy like that who doesn't shoot threes? Is that reliable? Is that reliable in the playoffs? Is that reliable for a team's future? I don't think so. I think you really got to mix it up. I did see him take a 3 in the last game. That was a 3 maybe in the third quarter. He had taken it after he had dropped 20 in the paint already. It was like a wide open free three-point attempt, and he missed it. Fair. I'm okay with him missing that. He's hot. Take the shot. But I need to see more variety from the game from a max guy.
Yeah. Yeah, his shot has kind of disappeared, unfortunately, and it's really sad to watch.
Mm-hmm.
His confidence in his shot looks like it's gone.
Yeah.
Even when he's shooting, it's like,
Yeah.
I feel like I forgot how to put it up properly kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. He did attack the rim ruthlessly against the Magic.
Which I love. Don't get me wrong about it.
And it's crazy how effective it is, and then he just goes away from it. He did such a good job yesterday against Orlando, and I think someone was on the bench just telling him, like, pounding it in his head, just drive.
Keep going.
Because
Sure.
he looked at everybody like barbecue chicken.
Yeah,
it didn't matter who was in front of him.
was.
If it was Vooch, if it was Aaron Gordon, if it was Kem Birch, you're not stopping me today, fam.
Yeah.
Like, family, I'm getting to the rim, and you're not going to do anything about it. And I love that. But you're right. Like, when the game slows down a little bit, you need to stretch the floor. You need to at least be a 36% shooter.
Yeah.
Like, at the very least. His averages, like Pascal has been slacking this year, in my opinion, like offensively. Last game was very positive, the 30 points.
Yeah.
If he can maintain that aggression, I think he can, find that consistency and because it frees up the defense as well, right? Like when you're attacking the rim and then you want to settle for a shot, you're going to get a better shot. Rather than if you just settle for a shot, they're just going to take away your shot the whole time. So it doesn't make sense for him. Like, on the season, in terms of his averages, like they're not the greatest. I mean, 24% from 3.
Oh, that's ugly, man. That's tough.
24% from the 3-point line is not going to cut it. You can't. That's unacceptable.
And what I will give him credit for is that he's realizing that he's 24% from the 3, and you can tell he's dialed in on driving and attacking the basket, which is like, yo, listen, you've identified your strength. And you're going after it, and I love that. It's just a concern. Can you shoot? Are you going to be able to shoot? The only way you can really develop your shot, obviously, you practice. When the lights are all turned off and the cameras are all turned off. But can you shoot in game? Shooting in practice is not like shooting in game. It's a way different story. So I just don't want Pascal to get caught up in I'm always going to attack the basket. Another thing, other than variety, is that attacking the basket takes a toll on your body. It takes a toll on your legs. It takes a toll on hitting yourself against larger defenders, bigger guys down in the paint. When you play 40 minutes plus, you're going to get fatigued. That's going to affect your takes to the basket. That's going to affect your legs in late game free throws. That's going to affect your legs in late game shooting. So it's so tough for me to look at Pascal and say, keep going, keep attacking the basket, keep doing it. I want him to. I love that he's doing it. But I need to see variety. I need him to start to
at this
stretch out the
point
floor as well.
At this point, if he becomes like because it's trending that he's becoming like a Giannis-esque type player, right? In the sense where his strengths are attacking, but he's a much better free throw shooter than
Giannis.
If he wants to transform into that role and it works for the team, by all means, he can become the guy who can distribute the ball as well, because he's become a great passer.
He's become better.
This season, his vision, his passing, his willingness to pass is better. So I'm saying if he just becomes a guy who's attacking the whole time, and then you're dishing it out, and you surround him with shooters, why not? It can work.
Right. It can work.
Yesterday it worked against Orlando. He was just getting what he wanted.
Yeah, but Orlando's a good team, but I'm talking about we want to go up against some quality competition, not an Orlando Magic team.
But Orlando's still a good defensive team, and that's what matters. Like if you're looking at your opponent and you're not afraid, like you're gonna go far, man.
I'm just concerned. It's a concern to bring up. If they can surround him with the appropriate shooters, Nick Nurse doesn't really. I don't think he has much shooters or pure shooters at his disposal. The only pure shooter on the team is Matt Thomas, and he's not going to play him. We know that.
Yeah.
I don't know what.
We can talk about that because he actually did play him this week, and I think some people's eyes were open. And my eyes were open, especially. He's terrible on defense.
That's the issue, and that's why he's not playing him, and it looks very bad.
It wasn't just bad. It was terrible.
Yeah.
Like it looked like a guy who didn't belong here.
Yeah.
You know when you pull up to campus gym, and it's like the tier 1 guys, like all the former guys on the team, and you're just trying to get a run in. That's exactly what it looked like. Like, bro, in second year, we played and we signed up for intramural basketball. They didn't mention tiers.
The A tier. We signed up for the A tier willingly.
I thought we were
we were willingly in the A tier.
No, we were tier 2, man. We were tier 2, but we were top tier 2, so they put us in the playoffs against tier 1, and we played against guys that were actually on the team before.
Those guys were different.
It literally was like the Monstars, and I imagine when Matt Thomas was on the court, that's exactly what it felt like for him. There was the one possession where he was just slacking the whole time. It was who was it, man? It was the Rook. I can't remember who it was, but it was Halliburton, Tyrese Halliburton, and he comes around the screen, and the whole time he's trailing him, and then he tries to reach from behind as if that's gonna stop anything. Matty T gives up the and one. It's just like 3 steps behind the whole time, and I get it. Like he's bad. He's bad. in like 5 possessions. That's like 10 to 15 points you can give up at max. I actually think with him there, you're giving up like 8.
And that's the difficulty because the one elite shooter that the Raptors have, he's not really playable on the defensive end, and especially at the rate that they're giving up 3-point shots, it's like you can't put Matt Thomas on. You need guys.
No,
I want to ask you a question actually. With regards to the opponent 3-point shooting, and I want to just theoretically thinking, because Nick Nurse relies so much on his zone defense, do you think that could be contributing to the reason why the Raptors give up such a high percentage in 3 points made, and even 3 points attempted?
Well, absolutely. And I think a big focal point to their defense was we're going to give up corner threes, but we're confident that we're going to shut everything else down at such a high rate that this won't matter to us, even though statistically the corner 3 is the highest percentage 3 in basketball.
Yeah.
It's the shortest distance 3 in basketball, right? So if you're going to let one shot go, you would think it wouldn't be that one, but that's the one that they're letting go willingly, and it's just a part of their scheme. And I honestly think that's also a contributing factor to why they can't rebound, because they're so busy covering zones that they're not checking their guy, they're not boxing out properly.
It could be one thing,
and like, I don't know. I feel like zone basketball should be way more comfortable for these athletes, but like it's like foreign concept to these pros. Well, some of them, like not foreign, like now especially it's very common.
Yeah.
But when like for example when the Raptors are playing against the zone, they forget how to play basketball. And it's like, dude, like when Miami plays us in the zone, it's like, dude,
they build the wall and that's it.
What happened? Did they not show up today? Like, what's going on? So it could be a part of it. I think it is definitely a part of it. As you know, like anyone who's played basketball, zone defense.
Shooters.
Like you're eating if you're a shooter. Yeah. And that's what it is. So they have to give up. But it's like, man, there's no way this scheme is give up shots and rebounds. Like, there's no way he's like, we're going to give up threes and rebounds. Like, where's the defense there?
And one more thing to add to that problem. So you're giving up corner threes, and I think they're giving up threes all over the place. It's not just the corner threes. The way they're playing it is they're giving up threes all over the floor. They're not rebounding, and the Raptors are amongst the bottom in fouls in the league. I think that they're the third last in fouls in the league, which means they're fouling the third most, third most in the league, right? So when you can't guard the perimeter, or you can't guard shooters, and you can't guard inside, it's just a recipe for disaster, and you're not rebounding at the same time as well. So something on the defensive end needs to improve. I think the Raptors have the personnel to play elite defense, like top 10, top 5 defense in the league. There's no reason why you've got players with size and length, like OGs, like Pascal's, like Stanley, like Bembry's, like Yuta, like Norm with Norm's energy, and you can't be a top 10 defense in the league. There's no excuse for that. So that's been the biggest Achilles heel. Every facet of defense for the Raptors just hasn't been up to par, and that's why you see them losing games.
Yeah, and I just want to point out that their defensive rebounding, in terms of where they said they're bottom 4 in the league. And if you're giving up more possessions than your opponents, it's hard. And a lot of times when they're making those runs and they'll make a great defensive stop and then they'll give up a dumb long rebound and then it's a wide open 3. And everything you just did,
it hurts.
It's gone. It's gone to the trash. So
exactly.
I want to bring up something that I didn't really get a chance to bring up earlier because I totally forgot to when you were talking about Chris Boucher. But I think a big reason is the sort of the resurgence of Aaron Baines.
Absolutely, it is. I agree with that.
Right? Like over his last 2 games, he's got 26 rebounds. You know, 16 and 10.
Bainesy
over the last 2 games. Right? That's season high in the last 2 games. So I feel like he's maybe getting a little bit more comfortable. I mean, every night before I go to bed, I pray that he stops shooting the 3.
Yeah.
He's shooting 23%, and it just doesn't stop him.
Yeah.
And we said this on Twitter. He shoots like you hold, like in 2K when you hold the form too long.
Yeah.
Dude, like there's a reason you're open. You know, like if Shaq stood at the 3, Shaq would be wide open. 23%, Bainesy, not gonna cut it. I don't think that was ever part of his game that he. But I want to say, when Gasol first joined the Raptors, he looked very discombobulated. He was also shooting at a very low percentage and only shooting. And then he became very passive for a little bit, and then he got comfortable. I think that Nick Nurse's system is very complicated in the sense where it needs high IQ guys.
Okay.
And it's not an easy system where the Raptors don't make midseason trades 4 times a year. That's not what they're known for.
Yeah.
So I feel like in those, when you have a team like that, you have to have systems that are adjustable to new guys coming in and guys leaving. But for the Raptors, it's so very like, this is what we do. This is how we do it. You either fit in or you don't. And I want to bring up something because this just happened right now. But apparently the Raptors and the Wizards were talking about Bradley Beal.
Oh!
And an offer was made and the Raptors declined it.
What was the offer?
So they wanted Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby, and 2 first-round picks for Brad Beal alone. And they're like, no. Raptors have declined and backed away.
Are you doing that?
So
As Masai?
what I was gonna say is that brings me back to the system, man. Like,
Dang.
this is against everything the organization stands for. You're giving up your 2 best defenders, no question. Your 2 best defenders are going, and you're bringing in a guy who's just a straight scorer.
Yeah,
right?
he's a bucket. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So Lowry is old, right?
Yeah.
I'm not really relying on him being a part of the future of this franchise.
Yeah.
So you bring in Brad Beal. He's here for like 2.5, 3 years.
Brother.
And then
3 years?
2.5, 3 years. And then you have him and Freddie. You gave up picks. You gave up OG. You gave up Pascal.
I'm going to make your answer a lot simpler and a lot easier for you to get to. His contract is done after this season, it's looking like.
No.
2021. Oh, I lied. 2023. We're good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what I was like. No.
That changes a lot. We're good. 2
to 3 years, which is a. I mean, it's an appealing deal, but at the end of the day, we're just going to become Washington because you gave up all your defenders, you gave up everything, and you're pretty much putting him in the same position he was in when he was in Washington, which is I can score you 40 a game, but I'm not going to impact winning.
Yeah.
And he's literally doing that, and it's not like. You know, what's he going to do? We're going to put up 60 a game here? Like, there's no way you can do better than 40 a game. And if you can't impact winning a 40 game because your team can't make stops, and then you come to a team that gave up its best defenders, I mean, it's tough to say no to that, especially when you need scoring. But the trade-off just isn't worth it. And the 2 first round, if it was just the 2 guys or maybe just Pascal and 2 first, then I would... ship
Pascal?
Oh, Pascal and 2 first?
Yes,
ship it.
Yes.
But you want Pascal, OG, and 2 first? That's way too much value defensively.
Yeah.
And you're literally left with Aaron Baines. Like Kyle Lowry and Fred VanVleet are the good guard defenders.
You gotta start Stanimal. You gotta start one of these guys.
Who goes to the bench though? Like,
Yeah.
are you gonna start Brad at the 3 and then start Kyle and Fred at the 1 and 2?
You have
and then
to.
you have a very undersized lineup.
Yeah.
And
No.
you get, like,
I agree with that point. That's absolutely. It's way.
it sounds
too
like
much.
it sounds like they're gonna revert back to being Washington all over again, and it just doesn't make sense. And he does not seem like in that. It wouldn't work with Nick Nurse. I see why they declined it. I'm not upset.
No, 100%. I don't think it's anything to be upset about. I do think it won't be the last time the Raptors and the Wizards enter trade talks. I know that it said that the report says that the Raptors have backed away from it. I think once the Wizards continue to shop and continue to see that, although Bradley Beal's value is pretty high, he's not worth that much. I don't think he's worth 2 of your core players plus 2 first-round picks. So I wouldn't be surprised if a deal like that happens where they take an OG or a Pascal plus 2 picks. I think that's a very favorable deal for both teams. And in terms of impacting winning basketball, you're right. Like Bradley Beal drops 40 and can't win a game.
Over like an 8-game span, they were like 1-7.
Right. So and we need defenders. The Raptors need defenders. The Raptors pride themselves in the last 8 years, even before Nurse, even when it was Ben Casey, it was defense. This is a defensive-minded team. That's how the Raptors are going to win games. You bring in Bradley and you let go of your 2 best defenders. One primary defender and Pascal, who is an exceptional defender and is long and as athletic as him.
You know why I think that they play zone? You know why? I think they play zone primarily because Pascal is an incredible team defender, but I don't think he's a very good one-on-one defender. I don't think when checking one-on-one he's been that great. I don't have the stats in front of me. I'm just going off watching the game, eye test. We know basketball. We've been around basketball. So he's less comfortable, and I feel – and the thing is, his team defense is elite. Like, it's where his placements on the court, his rotations, his closeouts, he's amazing, right? And it works really well for the zone. But I don't know. Like, why else would they only – because they only play zone.
Well, it's not only that. I think a lot of the times the lineup is very undersized. When you look at from 1 through 3, you can have Kyle Lowry, Fred VanVleet, and Norm Powell, who's a 6'4", or 6'4", which is very undersized as well. So when you think about going one-on-one against guys, especially now point guards in the league sometimes can be 6'5", 6'6". 2 guards can be 6'6", 6'7". And the Raptors 1 and 2 are 6'1", 6'2", 6".
Yeah.
If anything, right? So being undersized at the perimeter is another big reason why the Raptors play that zone defense, and that zone defense has worked. Let's not get it wrong. Let's not get it twisted. That zone defense has won a championship. So it's not like it hasn't worked. I just don't think
championship personnel though.
The personnel is different this time around. So I don't think Nick Nurse can rely on that box and one as much as he did with a Kawhi and Danny Green.
And they brought up a great point in the sense where, like, bro, you have Pascal and Serge, right? Those are like 2 elite defenders, top of the league, intelligent ball IQ. Like, they clean up a lot of the mess that the other guys make. Right?
Yeah.
Baines is not that guy.
Yeah.
Like, Gasol can see 2-3 plays ahead on defense, so he can. Okay, Norm is over on this one, or he's under on this one. Like, I'm gonna sub in here.
I'll shift wherever,
and I'll do whatever needs to be done. So I think that missing him and Ibaka from an IQ standpoint, for sure, it's an adjustment.
It's huge.
And like you said, the size. But let's do one more Raps related topic, then move on because there's a lot to talk about around the league. But Kyle Lowry, I wanna just say, like, I'm kind of getting annoyed a little bit. Not annoyed, but people on Raptors Twitter want to act like he's LeBron James of Toronto, and I get it. He was been here the longest. He's goated. He was here the best years of the franchise. He's goated, but let's not outside of Kawhi's season, he's been a fringe playoff performer. That's just Kyle Lowry. He's an inconsistent offensive player. That's just who he is. That's fine. It is what it is. I just think at this point in his career, the Raptors.
You're laying the hammer down.
I just think at this point the Raptors could benefit off shipping Kyle Lowry from 2 things, from two sides of it. From his perspective, it's a win-win because I think he deserves at this point in his career to be on a contending team where he's not a part of a rebuild. Because call it what you want, this is a rebuild. It's a rebrand at the very least.
I like the rebrand.
Right? It's a rebrand at the very least. But with a rebrand, it's not maybe a 6-7 year process like a rebuild, but it's a 1 to 2 year process. and then you start picking up traction. Maybe 1 year pick up traction. He's already 36 right now, 34 or 36, whichever one he is. I think he's 36.
He's 36.
But he's an older gentleman. I think he could benefit off being off a contender. And on the opposite side, the Raptors, rather than letting him walk and get nothing from him, because I don't want him in the future of this franchise. His time here was great. He's amazing.
Yeah.
But you signed Fred VanVleet not to start him with another Fred VanVleet. Like, I personally believe a lot of the times Fred is taken out of the game is when
he defers.
He defers to Kyle a lot because he has to. But when Kyle's out, he takes over because that's his team. He's the guy. And we said it on a couple pods ago. It's the DeLon, Freddie dynamic of pick one, let one go, and develop the one. I think at this point, you can get value pieces, man. There's a lot of teams right now that are looking to give up. Like a Houston is not Houston, but like because that won't work there at all. But like teams like that are contending that have like some key pieces, you can make some moves, man, and try to get like a utility guy, a defense guy, like a bigger guard, Alonzo Ball kind of thing. Like, I don't know, man. There's just options, and at this point, I just don't think Kyle Lowry's a part of the future, and I don't think he's a solution to the current problem. Thank you for your time, brother. I'm just okay with if he leaves. Like, I'm cool with it.
There's a few things I'm going to address from your statement that I know you're speaking a little bit out of anger, and then you're a bit upset at Kyle. Fringe playoff performer, I think is a bit too far.
No, man.
I think it's absolutely a bit too far as the leader of the team, emotional leader of the team, as a guy who is essentially the second option on a championship team, second option in the playoffs. Listen, you're pulling up the numbers right now. Don't worry, I got the numbers up for you right now. Averages in the playoffs this is the last 8 years, whatever you want to call it, 17, 15, 17.4, 15.8, 19.1, 12.3, 21.1 points a game. That dates back to 2013-2014 season. Shooting percentages has never been great in the playoffs. We know that. He struggled in order from going in years prior. 42%, 44%, 50%, 47%, 40%, 30%, 40% from the field. Not great shooting, but still leadership shooting. Still leadership contributions. And he brings a lot more than just shooting, a lot more than scoring. He facilitates the offense. He runs the offense. He does the intangibles, and he has the toughness. He creates plays out of nothing for you a lot of the time, and he gives you timely buckets and timely defensive plays and timely defensive stops. To be a fringe playoff player is a bit too much for me. I can't agree with you. Because he's
the championship season, he shot 43% from the field.
What's wrong with that?
In the postseason, that's low. That's not efficient. For 15 points, how many shots are you taking on that? Let's see.
Okay, that's fine, but it's
12 shots to get 15 points in a whole playoff. That's fringe.
5 for 12.
Last year, 42%. He went down 32% from three.
It's not all about shooting. You're just going based off of shooting off of one thing.
He is shooting.
You're going based off of one statistic. He doesn't
put up
just
14
shoot.
shots a game, bro.
He doesn't just shoot, though. That's why you're not.
But 14 shots a game is you're launching the cannon. Okay. Why are you launching the cannon if you're a fringe scorer?
He's still the primary guy on the team, unfortunately. That's what the team is
constructed. He should not be but that's the point.
He's one of the primary guys on the team.
Freddie is a more reliable primary option. Pascal is literally the max guy.
I agree with you. You're talking
Why
about
is he here?
You're talking about this season. We're talking about playoffs. Season. We're talking about playoff. You're talking about playoffs in general.
Yeah.
Not fringe playoff performer. Not fringe playoff performer, inconsistent playoff performer, but has showed up, has had games, has had good playoff series for the Raptors. I'm not going to accept fringe. You can say has been inconsistent. I'll go with that. I'll agree with you on that one, but not fringe. That's number one. Number two, just theoretically, you can't trade away Kyle Lowry. And the reason why is because the Raptors have dealt with every single superstar that they've ever had or star that they've ever had poorly near the end of their time with the Raptors. You cannot trade away. As much as I think trading away would benefit him, I think socially for the organization, it's a bad look to trade away your GOAT. Yes.
But if you trade him to a great winning situation.
If he requests a trade, I'm cool with that. If you trade him blindsidedly,
I'm saying like put him in a room, be like, yo, Caleb.
How do you feel about it?
Thank you for your service. You've been great.
Okay.
We have, you know who's doing that right now? JJ Redick. Did you hear about that?
I know they're shopping him
because they pretty much took him out of the rotation. They want Nikhil. Like him, yeah. They want Nikhil in there. Yeah. They want their youth in there. Whatever the case may be, he's not playing well. And he's like, "Yo, Sim, I want to go to either Brooklyn, New York, Philly, or whatever because my house is in whatever
it is."
Sit him down. He's earned the respect.
If they do that, absolutely.
Sit him down. Be like, "Yo, Philly, Like, come on, let's go home, fam.
It's also it's a win-win. I agree with you on the pieces. It's just in general a bad look, I think, and it's not a look I don't think the Raptors want to have, especially Masai, who's in a contract year and who's looking to maybe leave. I don't think that's going to be a look that Masai wants to have. His reputation is that, yeah, sure, he wins, but he trades away his star players. You think his star players are going to come to him the next place he goes to? I don't know. It's a lot riskier. I agree with you. A trade could be so beneficial for the team because of the pieces that they can grab for a Kyle Lowry. Socially, like that the whole corporate social responsibility kind of thing, it just doesn't sit well with a fan base, number one, with an organization, and I think even with Kyle Lowry. Like, you don't want to be able to joke around with a DeMar DeRozan, with a Chris Bosh, with a Vince Carter and say, yeah. I'm just another one of those guys who got shipped out at the end of my time here or whatever. So as much as I think it would be beneficial to trade him for pieces, I just think you can't. What I will say is there needs to be a lot less reliance on Kyle Lowry. A lot less reliance, and that means lesser minutes. That means lesser.
You can't, but that's even more disrespectful, in my opinion.
I don't think so. Not at all. Not at his age.
How?
He's not at his
reducing
age.
his role because he's still good.
No. Yeah, I'm not arguing that he's good or not good, but when he plays extended minutes, when he has a bigger role, it wears on him in the game, and he needs to also understand.
You don't think benching him is more disrespectful than trading him to a contender?
Reduce his minutes by 5 to 10 minutes. That's per game.
5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Do you think he's gonna be okay with that?
Then demand a trade and then go.
That's you've burnt the bridge there.
I don't think so. If you sit him down and say, "Yo, listen, I'm not asking you to be a role player."
He's a prideful guy. This is Kyle Lowry.
You're 36 years old.
Yeah, but Kyle Lowry coming off the Raptors bench.
No. Reduce role, not off the bench. Keep him starting.
How? As long as they're starting, they're gonna play a lot of minutes together, and naturally, Fred's just gonna deflect.
Just because you're starting doesn't mean you're playing the majority of the minutes. We saw that with the Bain starting and Chris Boucher coming in. It was possible. That's an extreme case. I wouldn't want it to be like that, but I think lesser minutes, I think more rest for Lowry is going to make him more effective, and I think more run for Freddie alone at that number one spot is going to be a lot more effective for Freddie and for the team.
Yeah.
So that's what I'll say. That's how I'm going to end it off for the Raptors.
Let's move on around the league. So there's a lot to talk about around the league, but let's sum it up because we want to get into some trades as well.
Yeah.
I have a trade that I think would rock your socks. So we'll see. Let's talk about the Houston Rockets, baby.
Yes.
Over the last 6 games since they got Oladipo, they're the number one defense in the league.
Yeah.
They're 6-3 since trading James Harden. On the season, they're second overall defensively.
Yeah.
The Rockets have just pumped off 5 straight wins.
Yeah.
They're back to 500-9-9, and I think
went from 4-9 to 9-9.
I think, given health to Victor, John, and Christian Wood, this is a 4 to 7 seed. And the way that they're playing right now, assuming they don't trade anybody as well, because defensively, they're there. And for a team to give up James Harden and get so good on defense is poetic to me.
Not shocking at all.
It's poetic to me. Like the fact that they not just they're the number one defense, bro. Like number one. There's no one in the whole professional basketball league that's better than these guys. And that to me is so funny because when you look on the opposite end of where he went, they're a historically bad defense. So that's a whole different discussion. But Houston Rockets, man, like, how do you feel about them? I'm going to say right off the bat, right when they made the trades, when they shipped Harden, I messaged Mark Malik, Greg, friend of the show, big Rockets fan. I said, make room for me on the bandwagon. I'm hopping on because I love the team. We love Christian Wood. This is a Christian Wood-friendly podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Christian Wood is the man. You're a big John Wall guy.
Yeah.
I like me some Oladipo from a singing perspective. He's a dope artist. Yeah. I like what he's about. And I just like those guys, man. It's a good big three. And then you got DeMarcus Cousins, PJ Tucker as your grit and grind guys.
Yeah.
There's no better guys in the league for grit and grind. Like Christian Wood, on a podcast, they were asking him about an encounter or physical, like a fight that happened. He's like, oh, man, we got big cuz for that.
That's dangerous, bro.
We got big cuz for that, bro. Just I don't even need to say or do anything. Just big cuz. Handle it. You think he cares? He's a friend of a technical foul, bro. That's his boy. Come here, Tech. So I like Houston, man. Where do you stand?
I like Houston ever since the trade, ever since they shipped Harden, like you said, ever since they got Oladipo, we're like, whoa, that big three. You add a DC in there as well. Hopefully he's healthy. You know, we love the idea of it. I even loved the idea of it when James Harden was on that team. It just didn't seem like he was happy to be there anyways. But so, good riddance to James Harden on that point. Not only have they improved defensively, they've also improved their 3-point shooting actually throughout this 5-game winning streak and overall in the season. So that's a big low-key statistic that you wouldn't expect really to improve with James Harden leaving, but they've got a lot better shooting the 3-point. I am concerned because I think this 5-game losing streak is great, but I think the defensive improvement is very premature to praise, only because out of all those teams that they played, only one of those wins came against a team with a top 13 offense. So they're not going up against competition that's necessarily really strong offensively. So defensively, they should be having their way, and given the guys that they have, they should be performing well defensively. So I'm not totally against the Rockets. I think the Rockets could be a great team. You said 4-7. I was thinking 4 or 5 even. I was thinking they can even make it, between 4 and 5. I think they can be a great team. Coach Silas, who's a first-year coach, we don't know anything about him. Nobody knows much about him. He's proven that he can manage guys who have star power, which is really great. Another one of my concerns is, although they've been scoring better, John Wall and Oladipo haven't necessarily been scoring better together while they're on the floor. Both aren't necessarily considered to be shooters. Oladipo, I think, a better shooter than John Wall. John Wall, more of a guy to drive and attack the basket. I think once they get their footing in, it's only been a few games. It's only been 3 games I think since the trade because of a bunch of COVID protocols and people not playing. Once they get their footing together, I think they're going to be really good. I just think it's a bit too early to give the praise just because of the competition they've been going up against. As the season progresses, if they're staying top 10 defense in the league, then this is a dangerous dark horse in the Western Conference, and they can go places. So I just love the way they're constructed. I think guys complement each other. I think guys can play well together. The reunion of DeMarcus Cousins and John Wall, Christian Wood having a great season. Oladipo has something to prove by being on this team.
They both do.
So
everyone does really.
Everyone on the team has something to prove. With your essentially your core 4 guys, at PJ Tucker as well, and your coach. So it's a great story to watch. It's a great team to watch, and I'm glad that you finally denounced the Mavs, because the Mavs are in shambles right now.
Yeah, it's bad.
Are you denouncing Luka yet?
No,
you're still on the Luka.
No,
but
he's special, man. His teammates are trash. Look at their percentages. Like, these guys are awful. They're missing Seth Curry, who's putting out a 50-50-100 season right now. They're 11-0 with Seth Curry on the floor, maybe 12-0 now with Seth Curry on the floor.
Yeah,
that's incredible. Like, he's like, talk about got it out the mud.
Legit, yeah.
Talk about got it out the mud.
D-League, like, bounced around.
He went to Duke, so he was a highly recruited kid.
Yeah.
And then it just went downhill. He couldn't even land like a partial 10-day contract.
Yeah.
Then he gets one like 5-6 years ago. Mm-hmm. Fast forward however many years, and now he's a rotational guy, man. Like, kudos to him. He's a reliable shooter, 50-50-100. He's definitely going to be on pace for 50-40-90. Mm-hmm. But let's talk on the flip side of that, because I feel like whenever you talk Houston, you got to talk Brooklyn. Because that's like the big trade that happened this year.
Yeah.
Brooklyn's offense is historically amazing.
There's no doubt.
Nobody's going to stop 3 30-point scorers that they can score at will. And then you throw in a Joe Harris who can get you 30 when he's open.
Sure.
You throw in Jeff Green who can get you 20 to 25 on occasional nights, which he has in the last few nights. And then you got TLC, Shamit.
You've got guys.
Streaky guys, right? So offensively, the team, there's no question.
Yes.
Right when the trade happened, we talked defense on here. I said, next week, I'm like, right now they're 13th. You're like, oh, they're not that bad. I'm like, next week they're going to be 20th. You're like, oh, we'll see. Mm-hmm. They're 29th right now defensively.
Yeah.
That is atrocious. They're like historically bad. Mm-hmm. No team since 2002 has won a championship with a less than 11th ranked defense.
Yeah,
ever.
Absolutely.
They're 25th right now on the season, 29th in the last few games, I think, since the Harden trade.
Yeah.
That's unacceptable. That's not going to cut it. And that kind of leads me to the trade that I was thinking, because I was like...
Before you do the trade...
Sure, let's talk about it.
Give me a rebuttal.
Sure.
I just sent you this graphic earlier.
Yes.
Saying regardless of defense, regardless of offense, both the Nets and both the Rockets have the same record since the trade, 6-3.
Yeah, but do you know who the Nets have played? I have it.
They had a few guys. Who do they have?
They played... the
Bucks.
highlights, they played Orlando.
Yeah.
Cleveland twice. Miami twice without Tyler Hero or Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
OKC, and Washington.
So both teams haven't really gone against quality.
They gave up one. They
Oh,
gave up
there's
115
no
to
doubt.
Orlando. They gave up 147 and 125 to Cleveland. 124 to Miami with nobody.
Yeah.
128 to Atlanta. Atlanta's a good team. They can score, but still 128 is unacceptable. 125 to OKC. Who stars for OKC?
Let's not sleep on the Canadians, bro.
Sure,
On the
but they're not
Dorts
going to
and
drop
the-
125.
Yeah.
And Lou
Yeah.
Dort's not a scorer. I have him
Yeah.
on fantasy. I messed up. He had a couple good games. I got ahead of myself.
Yeah.
And then 149 to Washington, bro. And
That
in
one
regulation.
that one was a stab in the heart. That was like, oh,
What an
come
ending
on,
to that
man.
game, though. But
Yeah.
Unacceptable. I mean, I'll let you rebuttal from here, but this is just, it's not looking good.
Defensively, there's no rebuttal. They're the worst in the league. It's historic. It's documented. It's done. What I'm banking on, and what I'm sure every what a Nets fan is banking on, is there's been rumors. There's been rumors about them going to get Drummond in the buyout market if he gets bought out. I'm not sure. You told me Shumpert got signed. I don't know if that was a rumor or if that's facts.
Finalizing a deal with the Nets.
He's finalizing a deal with the Nets, who can be a guy who give you quality minutes on the defensive end. So they're trying to improve defensively. They know they're weak defensively. So you, as a Nets fan, or anybody as a Nets fan, has to sit and pray that they improve defensively. Once that happens, I think it's not going to be all sunshine and rainbows from them, because it's going to be tough to integrate all these new guys into the team, but they're going to improve. So defensively, it's not going to cut it. Offensively, they're historic. If only you could always outscore your opponent. It just doesn't work like that. Unfortunately, we saw against the Wizards. Like that Wizards game, I was like, man, I'm gonna get demolished this week when we recorded, because I know literally a team who cannot buy a win. Bradley Beal cannot buy a win.
150 in
And
4
they
quarters.
drop 150 and they win the game off a game winner, and it's like, come on, dude. Like, as someone who's trying to defend the net, they're not giving me much to deal with. But go ahead for this trade. Let's see what you got cooking for the Nets.
So I was looking. I'm like, man, the Nets have a historic offense. They got 3 bona fide
Scores.
number 1 options. So they don't really need offense. They do need defense. So I was thinking, PJ Tucker and Eric Gordon for Joe Harris and some pieces from the Nets. Joe Harris is a great player. They don't need him. They don't need him at all. Like, they don't even slightly need him, because he's a nice add-on. He can score, but the shots that Joe Harris takes can be distributed evenly between 3 superstars that are much more reliable. PJ Tucker gives you that grit defensively.
And he can shoot.
And Eric Gordon can defend and also can shoot very well.
Yeah.
I think the trade works great for both teams, because PJ wants out of Houston.
Yeah.
And obviously Eric Gordon with him. Like, I don't know if the money kind of works. If depends on who they throw in. Joe Harris is younger. He's a better shooter.
Yeah.
Oladipo's expiring. Joe Harris is locked in for the next 3 years. Is a good backup plan in case he wants to walk. Whatever.
Okay.
I think it's a good trade, man.
The one problem is it doesn't address their need for a big. And we can talk about Drummond, or we can talk about whatever.
He can play small ball with good defense, though. And PJ Tucker played a whole playoff at the 5. Like, I'm not saying he will. KD can play some 5. DeAndre can play. And the thing when you surround them with good defense, DeAndre can hide and be that shot blocker, rim protector.
I'm concerned about being a shot blocker and being a rim protector and being a rebounder as well. As much of an effort these guys are putting in at the offensive end, I don't necessarily want Kevin Durant to be burdened, or to have that ask of him to be a rim protector as well while being a 30-point, 25-point scorer, or be a great perimeter defender while being a 25, 30-point scorer. This team isn't built like the Warriors, where KD excelled defensively because of how easy everything was offensively as well, right? So they're not built quite like that. They're a lot more iso ball than they are team ball. I think the biggest need for them is a shot blocking big, is a rebounding big, is a dominant rim protecting big. So if they're gonna go for a trade, try to trade for a big that's decent. Losing Jared Allen to me was like.
So I was like, why would isn't it kind of ironic that they just gave away that? But why would they go trade for that?
That's the thing. But
you had it in your hands.
That's the thing. Losing Jared. Once I heard Jared Allen was gone, I was like, that's going to be a huge deal, because DeAndre Jordan has proved that he's.
That's what they wanted.
He's
They don't want him there, man. They don't want him there.
The guys didn't want him there,
exactly.
which is very unfortunate, because he is actually going to be a huge piece for their success. Not DeAndre Jordan. And you can't trade away DeAndre Jordan because he's boys with these guys, and they've kind of verbally all agreed to come together.
Also, probably has no value.
Right. So you hope for a buyout for a big. The only it's a good trade on the perimeter. I think they're missing a big. Like they need it. They need it urgently, and that trade doesn't address it. But if they can go get a Drummond off the buyout market and then do this trade, I think that'd be a great pieces for them to pick up. Absolutely.
Yeah. Before we end the episode, let's talk Lonzo Ball.
Yeah,
because there's been a lot of trade talks with Lonzo Ball, and then he came out and scored 27 points.
Woo!
Like
Let's
7
go!
threes.
Yes.
7 threes. So big game.
Yes.
But ultimately, I just don't know that whole Pelican situation. To me, I didn't think Stan was the right pick for that coach.
Yeah.
Coaching vacancy.
Mm-hmm. They're struggling, man. They're not doing well. Bro.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Lonzo needs a better development franchise. I would love to see Lonzo on the Raptors. I think having a guard that's
really
6'6".
You're big on that.
Well, if we're starting 2 point guards and they're both tiny, you sub one out for a guy who's 6'6".
Yeah,
I think it can work. And then also he can ball handle, take some pressure off of Freddie as well. Because Freddie tries to do too much at times and then gives up the ball. Ultimately, he's still a small guy.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I like his defense. I think he's a good defender too. He can fit into the system.
Defender. Yeah.
And we're a pretty fast-paced team. Like, we're running the floor. I think he would fit in pretty well. And we need some excitement, bro. We need some LeVar Ball in the 6.
I would love some LeVar Ball. Actually, that'd be great.
We need some LeVar in the 6. Where do you want him to go? Do you want him to stay?
I haven't given much thought about where he should go or what team should trade for him. I think if he were to go somewhere that's a lot more patient than the Lakers have been and the Pelicans have been, I don't think he's given you absolute garbage for him to be traded this quickly and trade this quickly all the time. I'm trying to think down the league who I want him to see. He wouldn't go to Charlotte, but it would be amazing to see him play with his brother. Imagine them two on too many guards there, but they can give away some other guards. But that's just like a fantasy thing. You see those two brothers there, both on the wings or both on the 1-2, whatever it could be. As far as fits goes, if I'm him, I want to go somewhere where I can start and I can play, because I need to prove that I can play and I can ball against these guys. So he's got to go to somewhere at the bottom of the East or bottom of the West, and not that he's not already near the bottom of the West anyways. So anywhere where he's going to get playing time, anywhere where he's going to get development. I was looking right now at the bottom of the, if he were to go to Chicago, he can run with Zach LaVine. He can run with a bunch of pieces.
They got Kobe White there.
They've got Kobe White there, which I don't think they'll give up. You're right. There's not a team.
I would like him in Miami, man. Dragic is still an older fellow.
If I would like him in Miami next year,
and he got hurt too.
Once Dragic starts to fall off, and
I think Miami's culture would be perfect.
Miami's culture would be amazing for him. I think that would be a really good fit, and they probably teach him how to shoot very well. Mm-hmm. Not that he's been improving anyways.
Yeah.
Miami is a good look. Anybody can go to the Knicks and get playing time, but I wouldn't want him to go to the Knicks. So I think Miami as a culture and as a team is probably the best fit for him, like you suggested. But I'm personally I'm rattled at how much he's getting traded and how much he's in trade talks, because I think he can be your starting point guard for a mid-conference team, a mid-conference playoff team. Stan Van Gundy, I don't think Lonzo is the issue where the Pelicans need to trade him. I think it's a team issue. The team doesn't look good. To take JJ Redick out of a rotation is, this guy's a top shooter in the league, primo shooter, bro. You don't take this guy out of the rotation for your team. So I just think there's a lot more coaching decisions that are poor there than Lonzo.
Yeah, and there's going to be a lot more to talk about too with them as the season progresses, and how they move forward as well. But with that, let's wrap this up. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your constant support and feedback. Make sure to remember, stay tuned. We got some big news coming up very, very soon that we're excited to share with you all. And you know where to find us: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube. Subscribe, like, comment, tweet.
Twitter, Instagram.
Whatever, bro.
Whatever
just
you use.
turn your
We're
phone
probably
on. We should be the first thing you see.
Hey, TikTok is new.
Oh, yeah.
TikTok,
Follow the
TikTok.
talk. Follow the talk. So with that being said, we will come at you next time.